I will say I'm really good at coaching from behind my television.
Yeah.
Put it out there. Make a
Bobby
great
Bradley?
manager sitting from my couch.
We'll get some people back from injury too, though.
That's good.
That'll be good. That's the way it goes. Andrew, do you notice that the team plays any better when you yell at the television or the radio? Do they?
No, I just noticed
around.
that it makes me angrier. I have a hard time watching baseball on TV. I'd rather listen to it on the radio
Yeah,
than
That's what
watch
I
it
do.
on the TV, because
I like that better too.
when I watch it on TV, I like have that pretty box that they put on the screen, and I can, call balls and strikes really easily, and I can't really do that when I listen on the radio.
Are we live, Christy?
We are live and now we're recording. You may start the meeting.
I love the little upgrade that they did, a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago. Took a whole year, but there it is.
There you go.
I call this meeting to order at 7:00 p.m. Today is Monday, June 14th, 2021. And this is a regular meeting of the Chagrin Falls Village Council. Our first order is the Pledge of Allegiance, and this will be led by baseball superfan, Mr. Markowitz.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done, Mr. Markowitz. You've practiced.
I got it memorized.
I will ask Mr. Jameson to do the roll call.
DiBernardo,
Here.
Evans,
She's
Jan,
muted.
Jan, you're on mute. Jan, you're on mute.
She's got-
Here.
Grube,
Here.
Newell, Rocky,
Here.
Rogoff,
Here.
Wyval.
Here.
And I would move to excuse Mr. Newell from tonight's meeting.
I'll second it.
Second.
Motion by Grube, second by Evans. Roll call, please.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Grube,
Aye.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff,
Aye.
Wyval.
Aye.
Okay. We have a lot of minutes in front of us, so we will do them individually. Any changes, corrections, or other adjustments to the minutes from May 10th, 2021? Okay, seeing none, I move to approve the minutes from May 10th, 2021.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Group, second by Rogoff. Roll call, please.
Evans,
Aye.
Grube,
Aye.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff,
Aye.
Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo.
Aye.
And then any changes or adjustments to the minutes from May 24th? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Evans, second by Rogoff. Roll call, please.
Grube.
Aye.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff,
Aye.
Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
And then any changes to the minutes from June 1st, 2021? Okay, I'd move to approve the minutes from June 1st, 2021.
Second.
Motion by Group, second by Wyville. Roll call, please.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff,
Aye.
Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Grube.
Aye. Look at that, 4 votes in and we're just getting started. Report of the mayor. Bill?
Mayor's report.
Yes.
Yeah. All in favor? Okay.
Yes, the mayor's report will be very brief tonight. As you all know, the East Washington Street project's effectively complete. There's still minor points that need to be done, and there's a world of improvement over what was there before. And I think it's a very successful project. Secondly, there was swearing in of new officers in the fire department tonight. Some of you were there. We swore in 7 new officers for the fire department, 6 officers and an assistant chief's position. That's the only things that I have to report tonight.
Well, thank you. I assume there's no report of the finance director since he is not with us tonight.
No, he has no report tonight. I asked him before he got out of town.
And then we come to the report of the law director.
Thank you, Madam President. The first item is ordinance number 2021-24, an ordinance amending the planning and zoning code of the Village of Chagrin Falls and amending section 1135.02 parens A parens 1 and adding new section 1135.02 parens A parens 1 parens B.
And this is going to be introduced by Ms. Rogoff.
I lost everything on my computer. So this is, I think this is the amendment modifying the
Retail services in an office building.
office district for multi-tenant businesses in an office building and permitting some limited retail uses in a limited amount of space in those kinds of buildings.
Any discussion on this? We have a public hearing on this at our next meeting. Go ahead, Jan.
I'm curious why you're addressing this.
Well, it was Mr. Shibley applied for a tenant to have, I think it was a barber shop in one of his buildings, his office buildings on Bell Street. And he applied for a variance and it was denied because it was a use variance, and the standard for a use variance is stricter than the standard for an ordinary variance. So planning and zoning often takes a look at zoning districts and uses and that kinds of things. When something comes up and you know, they talk about, you know, well, maybe this isn't working, you know, maybe we need to, you know, modify some of the rules in that. So we talked about this, you know, we had a lot of input from the planner at the time, Julie Linder, who helped us with that and took a look at it and thought that it would be beneficial for the office district to allow certain limited retail uses in a small amount of office buildings in the office district, multi-tenant office buildings.
I have a concern that we have a lot of open office space on Main Street. And I think that we should confine retail to Main Street. And I know Solon has dealt with this a lot, and they do not allow retail services in industrial areas or residential. And I have a lot of concerns about this, and I believe Justin Herdman responded to this when we had this discussion, when Larry asked, Mr. Shibley asked for the variance. And I think this is, I really am not in favor of it.
Yeah, well, this does not affect retail uses on Main Street. It has nothing to do.
I understand that, Nancy. I don't think we should mess with our zoning in the commercial areas. I think it should remain commercial. I disagree.
I think what's on the piece of legislation that Nancy's got is 30% of the total square footage, if I'm right.
Yes.
Would you be comfortable with less than that, Jan, or do you just don't like the concept at all?
I don't like the concept at all. And in fact, I owned an office building in Solon that had a barber shop in it. It had a separate entrance, and they were only taken by appointment. I think a barber shop particularly is suspect in an office building. It's just how I feel.
Jen, is your argument against any retail or specifically like barbershops or hair salons?
I think they are very egregious. I think they belong on Main Street. I think, I just worry about it because you're breaking your zoning. I just don't think it's in our best interest.
So I mean, we're changing the zoning ordinance, so we're not technically breaking it. But so again, is it all retail or is it?
So is
that type of service, like a hair cutting service that you have? I'm
If
trying to
it's
get a
just
full picture.
Commercial shopping district, it might be different, but it's not. It's an office area. And there's retail space across the street from it. I'm just concerned about it. I don't think it's in our best interest.
Well, it is, I mean, it is a very, very small, 300 square feet is not a very large space. And I know that they had talked about a barber shop going in there, but barbershops, beauty salons are subject to very, 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 very strict regulations through the Department of Commerce. And I
am aware of that.
In my mind that they weren't going to get it approved there anyway. So.
Yes, but why make the change if you're making it? And I am concerned that we're making it a change for one particular landowner. And do we want to extend that up East Washington, down South Franklin? I just think it's a concern, and I think we ought to be very cautious.
Yeah, and I understand your concerns. This would, however, it's not just for one property owner. It would apply to any property, any multi-tenant office building in the office district. So,
and that's why I'm concerned.
And we did look at that and, you know, talked about the different buildings that seem to be in, that would have been affected by this. And they are scattered throughout the village.
Yeah.
Bill, go ahead.
I just want to interject. Traditionally, barbershops had been in office buildings. I mean, downtown, I think every office building had one or more barbershops. That has been a traditional auxiliary use to an office building.
Okay.
Jan, I'm not trying to make your argument for you, but is the concern that there's empty or that there's vacant office space already available downtown that's being unused? Or
Yes,
sorry,
I think I
right.
expressed that earlier.
Right.
That is one of my concerns.
Right.
But I also am concerned, I would like to, Mayor, do you remember what Justin Herdman said in regards to this? I couldn't find his email.
I do not recall what his exact words were.
I think we should find that, review that,
Yeah,
because I certainly respect his opinion.
and I do too. I don't recall seeing anything from him in this particular matter.
Yeah, I still have the email. I can forward it to council. People can read it before our next meeting.
I think
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that.
I think he was against a one-off, right? That was the issue, is that we were going to
I'm not
potentially
sure,
change that for one
Darren,
person.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay, we'll look at the email.
Yeah, well, I personally, I'm opposed to use variances. And so I was very, very much not in favor of a use variance for this property.
Right.
And so I think that was, you know, part of the issue. I would definitely not approve it. And we thought that this might be, a helpful thing for the businesses in town.
Yeah,
And there are no offices on Main Street. They're not permitted in any event, except on the second floor.
This is a second
And I
reading?
agree with that, but I think that we, a barber shop belongs on Main Street. Or in the plaza, which is retail.
I would also,
I understand about the downtown, but those are very large buildings and very large offices, and it's not quite the same.
well, I would encourage everyone to listen to the planning and zoning conversation they had with their meeting when they originally talked about this too. And everyone should have Justin's email in their emails I just sent out a second ago. And then we will, have this up again for its third reading in 2 weeks with the public hearing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Item
Okay.
number 2, 2021-26, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement for planning and consulting services with Julie S. Lindner, AICP, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Wyville, this
Yeah.
is introduced by you. I'm going to go turn the air conditioning down, so I'm not leaving. I can still hear you.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, this one seems pretty straightforward, and all of you know Julie better than I do, but it seems like there's an awful lot of reverence for the work that she had been doing for the village and its planning purposes for planning and zoning. I know she recently retired, and the concept is essentially for the mayor to bring her on through the end of this year, through December 31st, I believe, to help not only with the current matters at hand, but with the transition to a new consultant to help us in those same, to fill those very large shoes of Julie Linder. And so that's what's being brought up is, can we authorize the mayor to enter into this agreement with Julie to keep her around really till the end of the year? And there's the scope of work is really at Rob's, I guess, at Rob's discretion, and probably the rest of us a little bit as well. Just to what kind of work she's doing, who's dispatching her. And I think a real critical part of this is, helping us to identify the right candidate and train the right candidate to do the work that she's done in the past. So that, I think, and I have I reserve the right to phone a friend if anybody wants to talk to Rob about this. He's probably more knowledgeable than I am, but that's what I understand.
Oh, I think you did a good job of explaining it, dear.
Thanks.
Yeah, yes, you did, Darren. Thank you very much.
Sure.
And I certainly would highly, highly recommend the council approving.
Julie, over the years, has been absolutely invaluable to us, and she's also agreed to, on a special project basis, consult with us, and that's something that I think we all would feel comfortable keeping her on that, because it would have to be something really special and unusual. But she knows this village probably better than most, having worked with us for the better part of 30 years. So I think her institutional knowledge is deep.
I agree. Do we need a motion to suspend?
But hang on one second. The contract says that it's signed by Rob, but it needs to be signed by the mayor. So that change can be made.
Okay.
Should
we
go
amend
back
it?
and amend that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would move to amend the contract to read so that it is signed by the mayor rather than Rob Jameson.
Second.
Second,
Okay, motion by Grube, second by Wyville. Roll call, please.
Rogoff,
yes,
Wyval,
Yes.
DiBernardo,
Yes.
Evans,
Aye.
Grube,
Aye.
Rocky.
Aye.
And then I
Motion to
would,
suspend?
okay,
Second.
Second.
motion by Evans, second by DiBernardo. Roll call, please.
Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Grube,
Aye.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff,
aye,
Okay, and then I would move to approve as amended.
second,
Second.
Motion by Grube, second by Rogoff. Roll call, please.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Grube,
Aye.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff,
aye,
Wyval.
Aye.
Okay, that passes.
Next item is ordinance number 2021-27. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to renew the Village of Chagrin Falls contract with Delta Dental and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Wyville, to
Hey,
you.
me again. Well, as you all know, we have a dental plan with Delta Dental for village employees. I'd say that 5 times fast, full-time employees. And so this is really just us authorizing the mayor to renew that contract. I looked at, and you've all seen it probably in the legislation, that the current rates and the renewal rates are pretty advantageous. So another really nice job negotiating a contract. So that's really it. That's just providing that basic dental service to our full-time employees and renewing the contract, which lasts for 1 year.
It's
So-
a slight
July
decrease
1st.
in rates from last
And a
year.
decrease in rates. So excellent job.
So the monthly premium rates for people who don't have this written in front of them is going from, a single person is currently $28.72, and it's going down, like less than, to $27.57.
Mhm.
And then a family is currently $84.71, and it's also going down to $81.32. I didn't know this was possible in the American
know.
healthcare system. So we win.
Having not seen the contract, does the coverage change at all? Does anyone know? Do we get lesser quality care?
No. It's the same.
Seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
Well then, would you like to make a motion on this, Mr. Wyville?
Sure.
Suspend the rules.
I move to approve the
Suspend.
Oh, I have to suspend it, sorry. I move to
Second.
suspend this legislation.
Second,
Motion by Wyville, second by Evans. Roll call, please.
Evans,
aye.
Grube,
Aye.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff,
Aye.
Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo.
Aye.
I also didn't give anyone much of a chance to chat. Did anyone have any concerns about this? No, okay.
Motion to adopt.
Oh, I'm sorry, yep.
Second.
Okay, motion by DiBernardo, second by
Thank you.
Rocky. Roll call, please.
Okay.
Grube,
Aye.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff,
Aye.
Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Okay, back to you, Mr. Markowitz.
Thank you. Ordinance number 2021-28, an ordinance adopting the agreement among Bainbridge Township, the Village of Chagrin Falls, Russell Township, and South Russell Village for emergency and non-emergency road maintenance assistance and aid, authorizing the mayor to execute such agreement and declaring an emergency.
Ms. DiBernardo, to you.
I'm going to let Rob explain this, but I will say that we heard this in our Facilities and Services Committee on Friday morning, and we did recommend it unanimously for adoption by council. So Rob, as far as I understand, this is a renegotiation of something we previously approved. So if you could just run us through the changes.
Sure. Back in January, council approved an ordinance approving a mutual aid service sharing agreement for snow and ice control with the Village of South Russell, Russell Township, and Bainbridge Township. South Russell had initiated the request, trying to prepare for any kind of outage or lack of manpower due to COVID, where they could not provide service to their residents, and all the other communities felt it was a good idea to do a similar measure in case any of us had a bunch of employees out ill and we couldn't perform the core services. Through the discussion process, after we approved our version, South Russell had approved it. When it went to Russell and Bainbridge, their leadership wanted to expand the coverage of the contract to include any kind of service that may be needed throughout the year. Anytime an emergency or even a routine matter would come up where we could share services as needed. It doesn't commit the village to do anything. It just allows us to help if we are able to, if we're called on to by any of those other three communities, and vice versa. So we reviewed it. There's a lot of different revisions that went along, and we all feel that this is the clear way to proceed that would help all communities in the event of any issue where we need to share manpower and services.
And Rob, the Bainbridge, Russell, and South Russell have all signed the agreement.
Yes, that's correct. So we're the final.
Yep.
We asked to be last because last time we
Yeah, so we
approved
were
it and then
first.
other communities changed it. So we
Right.
said, let everybody else work out
Don't
the
fool us
details.
twice. You're not going to fool us twice. Okay.
Yes.
And this,
Um,
this doesn't commit us to any additional services, I understand, but
No.
also doesn't commit them to helping us if need be.
Right.
Does
I mean,
this commit us to, allowing us to use pieces of equipment, or is it just personnel?
It's
think it
primarily, it's primarily for us to use our equipment and personnel to
Yeah.
help out our community or vice versa.
Well,
It's not a lend-lease type arrangement.
one event outside of a snowstorm where this might come in handy is if a tornado were to strike one of the communities, or if you had a lot of trees down in a heavy windstorm, you needed to open up roads quickly that exceeded your own capabilities. We could call on some of our neighbors and all jump in and help out on that critical thing. Floods are another type of situation as well.
Oh. You could also have the whole department out with the flu.
Yeah.
And
Mhm,
then
that's
need
true.
some help.
A
Yeah.
little bit.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, have we before this, we started talking about this, have we needed to call in these other communities and have they been responsive and vice versa?
We haven't needed to in an emergency situation. For a long time, we've shared individual services where a community has asked for our sewer jet to go out and help open up a culvert. We've done that before. A few other communities have helped us. Just the other day, South Russell came into Chagrin with their boom mower to help cut down some heavy brush in Riverside Park. They helped us with that. So on the small scale, we've done it for decades here. And this kind of formalizes and expands that and makes it a little more comprehensive.
I think it really is just a formalization of what was an unwritten handshake policy. I mean, we've cooperated with them as long as I've been associated with the village and they with us. And this just formalizes what past practice were.
We have similar arrangements for the police departments as well.
Oh, right.
Correct, Dale. Thank you.
Yep. On fire.
Go ahead, Jim.
On fire.
Haven't we done things cooperatively with Bentleyville before? And were they approached and they chose not to, or?
They were
I'm
not.
just curious.
They were not, Jan, because this was initiated by South Russell. They wanted to keep it to the 4 communities involved. I know that through this process, one of the other communities wanted to add communities to further east, and that really made the agreement unworkable and started causing problems when you exceeded the scope on that. We've worked with Bentleyville quite a bit on a whole host of
I know that, right.
service issues on a separate type of basis, but it's not covered under this agreement.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions, conversation? Seeing none.
Motion to suspend?
Second,
Okay, motion by DiBernardo, second by Rogoff. Roll call, please.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff,
aye.
Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Krug.
Motion to adopt?
Second,
Motion by DiBernardo, second by Rogoff. Roll call, please.
Rogoff,
aye.
Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Krug.
Aye.
And Rocky.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item, ordinance number 2021-29. An ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the Village of Chagrin Falls, a proposed amendment to the village charter to provide that the term of office of councilperson is increased from 2 years to 4 years, and to stagger the terms, and to provide at the general election in calendar year 2023, 3 councilpersons are elected to a term of 4 years, and 4 councilpersons are elected to a term of 2 years, and to add gender neutral and numerical references.
Okay, so we are a charter community for those out there in our YouTube fan base, which means we sort of have some rights to make our own home rule through the Ohio Constitution. And part of our charter requires us to review it every 5 years. So earlier this year, we convened our Charter Review Commission. They gave us a report at our last meeting, and the next 10 legislative items all come from the report, the work that they did for the community, 5 residents. And the goal is just to have them look at the charter, see what needs to be updated, because the world changes, things change, and new ideas need to be looked at. So these are going to remain on readings, but we're probably hopefully going to have a cursory discussion. The goal will be to pass these at the end of July, and they'll be whatever we decided to pass would then appear on the November ballot for the voters to approve. Did I miss anything on the process here? Okay. So the first one is looking at 4-year terms for council. What is it now, 8 years ago? This was approved for the mayors, or 10 years ago, I guess it was approved for the mayor. And so it's looking to see if maybe we should consider the same 4-year terms for council. I was really opposed to this 5 years ago when I was on the Charter Commission. I thought that it made sense to have people run every 2 years. Sitting where, on council now, it sort of feels like we garner there's some benefits to it, certainly, but it also feels like there's some inefficiencies to the system because we're constantly back for election. And I think that there's some value to having longer terms where you have some stability and an opportunity to really learn the role before you have to run again. But thoughts, comments? Just generalize, you don't have to.
Yeah.
I had one thing there.
Yes.
The mayor's term was changed in 2006.
Thank you. I had no idea. I should have looked that up. Thank you.
I just did.
I think John Mitchell said it in the last meeting. It just takes some time. So I think, I mean, those extended terms would be beneficial. I could say just personally, it takes a little bit of time to get the jargon and the flow and the rhythm, and a little extra time makes that certainly obviously better. You've all seen me stumble. I guess that's what I'm saying.
That's not true.
Getting such smooth now. Okay. I think this will go to the voters. So if there's a strong feeling amongst our residents that they would rather review us every 2 years, they can let us know that at the ballot box, correct?
Certainly.
So,
I think this legislation in different formats have been on, this will be the third time.
right.
And the
I know-
voters have rejected it every time.
Exactly. So I feel like obviously it's an idea that when you're sitting on this side, you have a different view of this than maybe you do as a voter. But I don't think are your arguments that both John Mitchell's made and Aaron has made and Darren has made are wrong. I think that it's true. It does take some time. There's something to be said for stability. And
Right.
we can go back and see where people are on this now.
Because I think we benefit from having voices who've, been around for a few years, because.
Thank you, Aaron.
We do though. Your historical and institutional knowledge is very wonderful and useful.
Don't say that.
It is. Okay. Any other? Okay. We will leave this one on readings. How about that?
Okay, then next one is ordinance number 2021-30, an ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the Village of Chagrin Falls, a proposed amendment to the village charter to provide for the absence and vacancy of the office of mayor and to govern the election of the successor.
Okay. So I asked them to look at this. Our terms, I guess sitting here, I don't think that if the mayor were to have been hit by a bus a week into his term, that there wouldn't be appropriate for me just being elected by council to sit in the mayor's seat for 4 years, is my opinion. And while I don't think it's a problem to have a council president do it in a temporary basis, I also think that the role as a permanent basis should go back to the voters at the next general election, which is sort of what this lays out. Which is what this lays out. Go ahead, Angie.
Yeah, no, I also support this because I think the mayor's office has changed dramatically and we haven't changed this particular provision. As we said in 2006, somehow I knew that date, we extended it to 4 years. And we've also recently raised the salary. The mayor has taken on a lot more responsibility than they have in previous terms. So I think that it makes sense that it goes back to the voters at the next possible election for them to have the right to say who their mayor is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? Not all at once, my friends. Okay.
No, I think that this was a great way for it to kind of deal with that 4 years if you're 2 weeks into the term type of
Right.
scenario.
I came home during a pandemic.
I know. We suddenly all felt more mortal. Oh, gee,
I was like,
maybe we should look at that. Okay.
Now, if we catch Aaron driving the bus, we might be a little skeptical, but I think
I'm not
we're-
allowed to drive buses.
I think
It'd
we're
be
in
a
good
great
shape,
plot
yeah.
for Murder by the Falls. So I
Right.
can-
I'm still very quick.
I mean, I break for squirrels, so it is what it is.
Yeah, good plot.
Dale, next
Okay.
one. On that
I
note,
was enjoying the colloquy there. Next item is ordinance number 2021-31, an ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the Village of Chagrin Falls, a proposed amendment to the village charter to provide for appointment of assistant law directors, law director qualifications, and to make gender neutral and other grammatical changes.
Dale, there is a comma in the wrong spot with a D. Well, there's a mistyped letter. Do we care about that at this time?
Where is it?
It's section 8-3, Director of Law. About halfway down, it says shall serve mayor, council, comma, D, the administrative departments.
Section 8?
7, sorry. I can
Seven, section 7, yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Oh, wait a minute.
Get pretty deep in this thing.
How's that, Dale?
Section 3 in chapter 7.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes,
There's-
Darren, I read all of it.
Man.
This was much more fun than the 200-page zoning overhaul we did a couple years
Which
ago.
line?
You want me to show you the picture of it on the screen, Dale?
Like the third or fourth line down, it's to the left side of the paragraph.
I'm not seeing it. Oh, the console comma D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
The last letter in the comma are,
Yes,
Mhm.
D and the administrative department. So that D is missing an A and N.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll have that fixed for the next meeting, but
Okay.
There we go.
yeah, I mean, you can move to amend it now.
I would move to amend. Nancy, can you do the motion?
gosh, I don't have the ordinance in front of me.
Oh, okay. I would move to,
amend the section 2A in Article 6 to correct the typographical error in line, I think it's line 4.
I think it's Article 6.
7, it's line 7.
Article 7.
It's
Seven.
7-3, and it's line
Line
1,
7.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
Second.
Okay,
And then roll call, please.
Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Rube,
Aye.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff.
Aye.
Glad we caught that one.
Thank
So Dale, this basically lets you appoint someone to help if you're unable to attend. Can you talk us through the implications of this a little bit?
yeah, it's actually more so for when the contract gets signed. We thought it would be good to add to the charter that there would be assistants who could serve. And they still have to be approved by the village, by the mayor and council. So it's not really a whole lot different than what we had before. We're just putting it into the charter. We're also making it clear that whoever serves as the law director not only has to be licensed, but they have to be in good standing with the House Supreme Court. So if your license was suspended, you couldn't serve.
So do we currently not require you to be licensed?
No, you required me to be licensed, but I could be suspended.
Oh,
Mhm. That's- yeah.
that's a fair point.
Yeah,
And we need to do that through the charter. We can't do that through an ordinance.
right, because it's the director of law position is, the qualifications are set forth in the charter.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I do think it's good to have a lawyer who is in good standing and not currently suspended.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. But how does this differ with regard to the fact that sometimes now we have one of your associates in your law firm take over a meeting here or there if you're out of town or unavailable? How is this different from that?
Well, it's not, it's just, we always just did it by our contract. And we thought, as long as this is our practice, we ought to just conform the charter to what our practice is.
Okay.
So that's all we did. I mean, if somebody said, let's not bother with this charter amendment, I would be able to be comfortable saying that's fine, but I just think it's better to make it clear in the charter that those people can serve in the stead for the director of law and do anything that the director of law could have done.
Okay. That makes sense. Any other questions on this one? Conversation?
Would that relate to specific people or just generally who you would pick?
No, it's specific people.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we will leave this one on readings.
Okay,
Dale,
But-
please stay in good standing.
yeah, I hope so. That takes us to ordinance 2021-32, an ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the village of Chagrin Falls, a proposed amendment to the village charter to clarify the duties of the chief administrative officer and to provide for appointing alternate members of any board or commission to serve for a particular meeting or matter to be made by the chief administrative officer.
So, okay. In section 1, Article 6-2, duties, G, the last part of it says appoint the alternate member of any board or commission to serve for a particular meeting or matter. Does that
Right.
mean they can is that the language feels a little, I don't know, off to me or something, because council has to appoint alternate members.
No,
Is
this,
it
yeah, all this is saying, let's assume we have 2 alternates.
Mhm.
And we got to decide who's going to attend. Well, who's making that decision? So it just seemed practical to us that the chief administrative officer, who's administering the whole process anyhow, should pick which of the alternates we're going to use. If there's only one, then there's no issue. But we have 2 alternates for some of our boards.
So I mean, I understand this and the reason for it, but I really don't think it reads that way. I think it reads that it gives a much more expansive power than we actually do give that. And to me, it reads that that the CAO can just randomly appoint anybody.
Well, no, the charter already says that council appoints the alternates. We did that a couple of years ago.
Right, but I just don't think this particular section is clear enough that that's exactly what's going to be done. I just,
Okay,
grammatically, sentence structure, all of that, I just don't see that it reads that way.
okay, I could take a crack at trying to
Amend it.
make it more specific to what your concern is. Basically, we can say appoint an alternate member who's already been approved or appointed by council.
Yeah.
Yeah, an
Yeah.
approved alternate would be a better language, because it just seems like
It
Rob
seems-
could approve anybody you wanted, or appoint anybody you wanted.
You could say approve or selection of pre-approved alternate.
Right, something like that.
designate an appointed alternate
Yeah.
member to attend a meeting.
Yeah.
Thank
Just
you for
need some
looking
word
into that.
crafting.
Yeah.
Need some amendment and some word crafting to make it more clear.
Yeah, word crafting by committee isn't necessarily
No,
great. but
exactly.
I
Let's
think
begin.
the law director can clearly.
Let's go around the group. Okay.
Right. See how smart everyone is.
I'll
But
make it, you'll like it.
Thank you. Okay.
But conceptually, it makes sense. I
Yes.
mean, the language needs to be improved.
Tweet.
Thank you.
Tweaked. Thank you.
We knew what we meant when we were meeting on this, but
Right.
I get your point.
But when you see it on the ballot, it's not going to make any
That's
sense.
true.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, they probably don't even remember they already approved alternate members.
We meant what you knew, Dale.
Okay. If you're done on that one, I can move on to the next
Yep,
one.
let's go on to the next one, unless anyone,
Oh,
okay,
Okay.
let's go on.
The ordinance number 2021-33, an ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the Village of Chagrin Falls, a proposed amendment to the village charter to provide that the chief administrative officer may also provide notice to the clerk of council regarding actions taken by the Board of Zoning Appeals, and to provide that council persons may request that the clerk of council set a public hearing to review such decision by electronic mail means and to make grammatical and gender neutral changes to such section.
Can you talk us through this one?
I find this one really fascinating.
Right? I just don't know how to even peel this orange, so.
Probably the easiest way to explain this is when we're getting petitions from the 3 members of council to hear a matter heard by the Board of Zoning Appeals, it's more specific on the chief administrative officer or the clerk of council being able to send the messages out. Again, in practical terms, Rob's been doing it. So instead of it having to be the clerk of council, it's now by the CAO. And we now specify that not only does he give notice to the clerk of council, he gives notice to everybody on council,
Right.
which was implied before, but now we're making it specific.
What does the ordinance require? the ordinance that says that 3 members of council, et cetera.
Yeah, it's in the
For the
charter.
clerk of council.
That comes essentially from the charter first, and then it comes from, I'll pull up the planning and zoning code on that. That's in 1111. 1111. Let's see. In 111106, within 15 days after receipt of the written notification by the clerk of council from the Board of Zoning Appeals of each decision made by the board, any 3 or more members may, oh wait, no, you need to know. Yeah, it just says within 15 days after receipt from the clerk of council of the BZA's action, they can petition. So now we're saying that the clerk or the chief administrative officer can do it. And it said before that the clerk of the BZA gave that notice to the clerk of the council.
Who's the clerk of BZA?
There isn't one. There's a chair and there's a secretary.
It says in A that the Board of Zoning Appeals shall have its secretary immediately notify in writing the clerk of council.
Okay. So it's just a practical complication to have the communications go through Dave when Rob's the one running the process.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
it just cleans it up and makes it smooth.
I also see a typo. There's the word administrative is a small a. It should be a capital A. So
Okay.
that's essentially all that one's about.
Okay. I'm glad we caught that typo too.
Otherwise, we'd be putting it back on the ballot to correct this typo in 5 years.
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, it's a little odd when you find a typo in the charter and you're like, okay, let's leave this one on readings. How about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Dave, do we need to amend it to fix the typo?
No.
Okay.
Pull it back in.
Actually, grammar rather than,
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
exactly.
Jay,
The noun, proper noun.
Okay. Ordinance number 2021-34, an ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the Village of Chagrin Falls, a proposed amendment to the village charter to provide for an exception to conflicts of interest when land is needed for municipal purposes and acquisitions are approved by a majority of disinterested council persons, and to make a gender neutral revisions. That should be, wait a minute. I got a feeling the agenda is wrong.
yeah,
Mhm.
No, the agenda is right. The title has make a gender neutral revisions. So it's,
A single.
I got to take out a, and to make gender neutral revisions.
right.
is this the one we should change now? Or can we wait to see what we want to do with
Yeah,
it?
yeah, you can wait to see what you want to do with it, but I'll fix that.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk through this one, Dale.
Okay, this is pretty simple. It's just, if we had to take some land from somebody who's on council, it would allow us to acquire that from them and they're not deemed to be violating the law or having to forfeit their office. It's something that came up in another community, and when we saw it, we thought when we got around to amending the charter, this would be a good time to fix that. And then it just makes the changes to council persons, and that's about it.
Okay. So the gender neutral changes, since we've, talked about it at least 8 times now without talking really about it, we're going from councilman to council person.
Mhm.
We're going from council member to council person.
Okay. But I mean, member does sound pretty gender neutral to
It
begin
does,
with.
I know. Yeah.
Well, you can blame your charter review commission for that.
Okay,
Okay.
I just wanted to check.
Yeah, they, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, council person's not a bad term. I just, thoughts, comments? Anyone dig on this one?
It's interesting.
Mhm.
So it kind of protects the person on council whose property.
Well, and it also eliminates anybody challenging a purchase by the village.
Okay.
Yeah,
It seems pretty granular. I mean, are these things happening? Have they happened in the past? And I mean, I like the protections for everyone, but
But yeah, but why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's something that allows us, let's assume we needed to right away. We have to expand it right away, and we got 2 council persons living on that street. It allows us to make a deal without having to go through a whole eminent domain trial and to, have somebody argue whether they're having an unlawful contract interest. So it's just a good idea.
So if we were widening Bell Street, so it was 4 lanes and we had to take over Angie's front yard,
Yeah,
Perfect.
it would
Oh.
mean that we then don't have to go to court in order to take her front yard. She could vote to give it to us.
right. And she wouldn't be charged by the prosecutor with having an unlawful interest in.
Okay. Well, so now, Darren, you know why this is happening.
I understand. I heard it. It's being recorded.
You heard it here first.
Okay.
Jan, go ahead.
Hey, this is not about this particular piece of charter proposal, but I think in general, there are so many here, everybody's going to be really upset about it and not understanding it. And I think we might be wise to eliminate some of these.
I was waiting till we got done with all of them to bring
Just say
some of
that.
those things up.
Because we all have questions about them. I think the things that are very simple, like the mayor and the council going to 4 terms, everybody gets that. But some of these other ones, in my opinion, they're only going to muddy the waters and people won't vote.
I completely agree with you. I'd like to see us narrow it down a little bit. I just wanted to give all of them a fair conversation.
I appreciate that. I'm not opposed to that. I just think we might want to seriously consider deleting some of them.
Yeah,
and maybe there's another way to do some of these things.
I would encourage everyone, like once we get through them, to sit on them for a couple weeks. And I'm hoping maybe at our next meeting, we could start sort of narrowing down what we feel is most important to bring to the ballot.
I think when
They
people
all
don't
have to go on
understand
this.
something, they're gonna vote against it anyhow.
They all do not have to go on the ballot, Andrew. We can choose however many we want.
But do they all have to go on the November ballot?
No,
We can set them,
space them out.
we can set them aside and put them out in a year, and we could use other ballots. The work is
It's not
done,
like
so we own it.
If we don't put them on this ballot, they can't be put on until for 5 years.
Correct. We
Oh,
can
no,
put them
that-
on whenever.
They wouldn't be 5 years from now necessarily. I mean,
No, yeah, we could put them
we
on
can amend-
every November.
we can amend the charter other times than every 5 years.
And we could even put them on in May. That's a general too, isn't it?
Right.
No, May is a primary,
No,
but you
not
could,
November.
Yeah. So
It was just an observation that I just think it's kind of overwhelming.
We are of like mind.
we yeah.
I think most voters, I feel
I'd
like 4 or 5 is more than is going to start overwhelming people if you get over 4 or 5.
yeah,
issues on the
definitely.
ballot.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'd like to talk about whether we'd rather be council persons or council members.
Okay.
well, remember though,
Hmm.
we have a lot of these ordinances, a lot of these charter amendments that all say now council persons. So if you don't adopt the one that goes gender neutral generally, then you're gonna have inconsistent language in the charter.
Well, goody.
And that's 37, I think you said.
37.
Okay. Well, let's keep going. Now that we've taken Angie's whole front yard and our hypothetical widening of Bell Street,
Excellent.
I'm sure no one else would mind. Angie.
Actually, it's 30, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
so 35.
35.
All right, so we're now on.
No, we're on 35 now.
Ordinance number 2021-35.
Correct.
An ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the Village of Chagrin Falls, a proposed amendment to the village charter to adopt procedures for determination of sufficiency of referendum petitions and submission to council for repeal of the ordinance or resolution subject to referendum, and submission to the voters if not repealed, to clarify pertinent ordinances and resolutions that are not subject to referendum, to provide for ordinances and other measures to be proposed by initiative petition, providing the charter governs when in conflict with the Ohio Revised Code, and the procedure for petitions, including scheduling a public hearing and notice of the hearing for such initiative petitions.
I mean, so that was clear as mud.
So let me give you the short version of that.
Yeah.
This came up in Solon 2 years ago, where somebody wanted to change the zoning code, and they submitted an initiative petition. They tried to jam it through without council having time to vet it. Council moved slower than they wanted them to. They went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ultimately said to council, you got to put it on the ballot in November. And then after the voters turned it down by over 80%,
Wow.
they backed away. But the council then hired me to change their charter because their charter didn't say that it could prevail over the Ohio Revised Code. And it's part of why they lost in the Supreme Court. And so what we did for Solon was say, if somebody wants to do an initiative for rezoning, that's fine, but it goes through 3 readings, and then it goes on the ballot if you know, once you get through those readings. And it also
It goes on the ballot without a vote by council.
correct. You only vote. The only control you have is to make sure that the petition conforms to Ohio law. If somebody meets the 10% of the electors signing the petition, you can't stop it from going on the ballot. All you can do is allow the public and yourselves to have an opportunity to read it 3 times so that you know what it's about, and for there to be public discourse on the validity or wisdom of adopting it.
So in some ways, it ensures that petition initiatives get a good public hearing and can be vetted by both the council and in some ways the community by extension.
Right,
Okay.
because otherwise it just goes on the ballot and there's never any public meetings on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have really an issue with that concept.
Does the
Yeah, that-
petition process
charter-
say this?
Got approved by a very large margin in Solon.
Do we change the petition process in this?
No,
Okay,
no.
I didn't think so.
Okay. If there's no other questions, I'll go to
So the next one,
ordinance number
6.
2021-36, an ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the Village of Chagrin Falls, a proposed amendment to the village charter to provide that initiative petitions to amend the planning and zoning code and/or zoning map of the village shall, without exception, be read by title at 3 consecutive meetings of council, and to make grammatical and numerical changes. You're probably confused because I talked about the 3 reading rule in the other one. I forgot that we did those separately. So
Separate things. Okay.
35 clarified how the process works and says that our charter controls, and then 36 had the 3 reading requirement.
we can't merge them into one.
The Charter Review Commission wanted them separate, which I thought was a good idea.
Okay.
It's hard enough, for the voters to understand what you're doing in any of these charter amendments. So we thought it was a good idea to do it
Okay.
that way. Okay,
Let's go. Anyone want to talk about 3 readings?
3
No.
readings.
Okay.
It's already
Let's
done.
go. 37.
okay. Ordinance number 2021-37, an ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the Village of Chagrin Falls proposed amendments to the village charter to provide for numerical references, gender neutral references, and other grammatical references, providing that council meetings can be held live or by teleconference, video conference, or similar technologies, adding to the Director of Finance duties and eliminating the reference to the Cemetery Board of Trustees, and to add an oath or affirmation clause to the charter and declaring an emergency.
Okay. Do we really need to declare that emergency at the end of that?
Oh, I don't even know why that got on there.
We're not declaring this an emergency.
We are not.
We go
Wow.
forward with it, though we will amend it before we pass it.
It's funny. I read the agenda tonight before the meeting and I didn't catch that. Yeah,
It's
I'll get rid of that too. I'll make sure there's no emergency clause at the end.
To the charter period.
Yeah, I mean, you can't make it an emergency because it's got to go to a vote. of the
Right.
people.
This
very-
feels like we're mostly like making sure the charter is tightly organized in terms of numbers and letters and sections, and then consistent with the council person over council member, and perhaps even some councilman references that we see. Correct?
Correct. We also eliminated any references to the cemetery board here because we got rid of that in the charter.
Okay. And then it says that we could hold our meetings either live or by teleconference, video conference, or similar technology.
Right.
So is this sort of us declaring our home rule right to choose how we have our meetings? And
It
would
is,
that
but
apply to
it then-
council?
yeah, it just gives you that right now. And then you have to decide by ordinance if you're going to do that because you'll have to amend the administrative code as well.
And I understand other Ohio municipalities are also looking at this as well. Is the form of your council meeting, which is not a hearing, a home
Right.
rule power?
Correct. Yeah, this is the hottest topic in the Ohio Municipal Attorneys Association listserv at the moment.
I think it's nice to have the freedom. And for
Yeah.
some of our different committees or, we have a lot of different types of meetings. And I know, I think for ARB and things like that, it has been an interesting way for them to present material and have people know what's going on. So
Also been
Would this
Fine.
apply though to other boards and commissions, or does this only apply to council for the?
it's good,
Council
good
meetings
question. Yeah, because it only says council meetings. True.
Yeah.
Well, that's because we have to have, the way our charter read, you had to have those meetings live. We
Oh.
don't see about the other meetings.
Oh, okay, so the others don't have to necessarily be live. Interesting.
So we
Right.
could provide an ordinance for
Sure.
allowing those to be virtual as well if we wanted to.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm always a fan of telling Ohio what we want to do and doing it how we want to do. It's like one of my favorite things about Ohio. And not being subject to the whims of the state house is always sort of like, my rebellious streak at work. So
Yeah,
this
right.
speaks to my heart.
Uh-huh.
Even if we wouldn't necessarily do it, I just
Yeah.
like being able to say we have the right to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
Andrew, you had some thoughts. No, go ahead.
for a public records standpoint, it's been super convenient to be able to re-watch and see both the visual aids and hear what people are talking about when it comes to planning and zoning and architectural review meetings. And well, for you guys, I guess BZA, but I'm part of those. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
It has been.
I hear a lot of positive comments for what the access that virtual meetings has given residents.
Mhm.
I think it certainly expands the potential audience who can participate in the meetings because they don't have to be at Township Hall or Village Hall, rather, at 7:00 on Monday. They can later in the evening and anytime.
And it's not like we're ever going to get a cable TV station. So it's like YouTube would allow councils in the future to sort of make those
Mhm.
determinations themselves, which I kind of like. But I don't know, Darren, Jan, Angie.
Yeah, I think, necessity is the mother of invention in this thing, and it's been very helpful since we've been virtual to get these meetings done. And I think communication's been really good. I would say the same thing for my company outside of this. We've never communicated better. So, and I like the idea that this can be done at our discretion to a degree.
I think there's a lot of people out there that really like the Zoom meetings, and as much as I've had trouble getting used to them, I don't know that I want to go back and back into council.
I mean,
Hate
you
to say
really
it,
don't.
like-
You should see the room.
Yeah, you can't. It's filled with
You can't-
boxes.
Yeah, there's not room for two people in there.
The
Uh,
feedback
you guys a
we
little-
got from residents,
Ooh, geez.
particularly when we were planning the East Washington Street for meetings were extremely favorable with the Zoom meetings. People said that they wouldn't have come to council, but came to the Zoom meeting because they could do it from home and just listen to the parts that they wanted. So I think for committee meetings, maintaining the ability to have Zoom meetings is probably pretty helpful.
I think so too.
I've gotten some emails from some residents saying that they would prefer us to do it that way. So
Well, that's
I
what I
see
heard on East Washington Street. And, we're gonna have a series of meetings on West Summit Street when we get those plans done, but I'm not sure, we may do both on
Right.
that.
I see a potential revenue stream. We could lease council chambers out to who knows who. Any number of groups.
Hey Darren, maybe we could put a barber shop in there.
I was just thinking the same thing, Bill.
All right, we all get a little punch drunk on
As this meeting degrades, I'll go down to
yes,
Yeah, let's go to the next
agenda
one.
number, exactly.
2021-38, an ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the Village of Chagrin Falls, a proposed amendment to the village charter to make gender neutral changes, add numerical references, and provide additional grounds for removal of council persons.
Yeah. So now Dale's enjoyed us and now he's going to kick us off.
I know,
So
he's added new reasons, yes.
could you talk me through
Getting
the
real.
what naughty things people can do under this change that they or can't do under the new change versus what they can do now?
Well, we added,
Misfeasance.
we had gross misconduct and we had malfeasance, but we added misfeasance or non-feasance. And then that's really all we added.
Okay.
So all the
But-
feasances are covered now.
Oh,
Yeah. It pretty much mirrors the Ohio Revised Code on removal of certain officials in section 3.07 of the Ohio Revised Code. So that's why we did that.
okay. That seems straightforward enough.
We also added a provision, we added some more grammatical, gender neutral language change, and that's it.
I always appreciate the phrase moral turpitude. So
Right. Yeah,
I just don't get to use it in conversation frequently. So
right. That's all I have. If nobody has any more comments, I'm going to be leaving the Zoom video meeting, but I will come back on my phone in about 6-7 minutes. I have to leave for a meeting in Madison Township.
Okay.
okay, well, drive safely.
Well, thank you. I'll be
Yeah,
back
great.
on the, so if anybody has any questions, ask it now or else. Okay, thank you all,
Thank you, Dale.
That's 2
Thanks,
weeks
Dale.
on Bieber. Thank you.
at
And
least.
Oh,
least.
boy.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, we're just plowing right along considering the fact that we had 14 items on our agenda.
yes.
On to council committee reports. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay. Administration and compensation.
Other than tonight's legislation, nothing for me
Awesome.
or for the group.
Arts Commission.
Arts Commission, we haven't had a meeting scheduled for Wednesday. That is going to be canceled because there was great excitement at the idea that we can meet live. So we will now be meeting on July 14th in person and bi-monthly thereafter. At that meeting, we will be welcoming 2 new not-for-profit directors, Becky Gruss for the Valley Arts Center and Margaret Reardon for the Chagrin Valley Little Theater, as well as a new library director. So it should be fun.
Great.
Okay.
Good times. Board of Zoning Appeals.
We have our next meeting on we have the one on the 23rd, but when's our next meeting? I was not prepared. Sorry. Hold
Coming up.
on.
Fourth
On the 29th.
22nd.
Yeah.
is busy.
27th, sorry.
22nd. And we have our hearing of the Bell Street matter on the 23rd.
Yes.
And everyone should have those materials in their inbox for their review, and the video can be found on YouTube. Okay, Cemetery Commission. I know you're gonna hate me. I just wanted to say that Memorial Day went really smoothly. And I want to thank Commander Gretschko from the American Legion, Commander Brocious from the VFW, Fire Marshal Finley, Historic Society President John Boriso, Cemetery Commission Chair Larry Trace, Cemetery Sexton Rob Arnold, and the rest of the service department, and then Darby Schwartz, who stepped in as a community volunteer for everything they did. This group started in January working on laying out Memorial Day, and the world completely changed since January multiple times. And they really rolled with everything with a lot of grace and patience, doing, everything they could. So if you didn't get a chance to hear Mike McClurg's speech, I really encourage you to go hear it. You can find it on the Historic Society Facebook page. And then we do anticipate returning to hopefully normal in 2022. So vaccines better keep working. And you bring the parade back, and we'll continue to draw the circle wider with more volunteers. We do have a number of people who want to be included, so we'll be reaching out early part of 22 to help get things off the ground. So if you have a convertible, please feel free to think about that in January. And then there is some scheduled tree trimming going on up at the cemetery soon. Don't panic. It's not being clear cut, just trimming. The storms, both in December and then throughout the winter and spring, because we got a lot of them, really took a toll on some of our canopy up there. So there are plans for canopy replacement, planting and stuff like that, but we do have some trimming that needs to be done. When tree limbs fall, they can damage those monuments. We lost one of the big spires that got tipped off its base over in the historic section. So we're going to be fixing monuments this summer, trimming some trees, and then we're expecting in the next couple of weeks the planting of the Fireman's Circle to start getting underway. It'll be a little bit, unfortunately, more elongated than I think anyone wanted to do, but everyone's been home for a year. They finished their inside of their houses, and now they're taking all the plants. So it's like Black Friday for plants. Everyone's like crushing in to get them. So that's my story with the cemetery. Oh, go ahead, Jen.
I was up there recently, and I noticed the roads are in terrible repair. So I would hope that is something we can address later this year.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do it this year. Rob and I have been talking about getting it built into the road program in the next couple of years. We have some heavy duty work.
Awful. I mean, they are really, really inadequate.
Yep.
I think it's something we really need to push a little.
We were hoping to do a full repave once all of the cemetery expansion work is completed. We will do some patching up there in the meantime to try to make it a little better in the worst areas.
Yeah, it's really deplorable. So
yeah, my understanding is those roads haven't been paved since I want to say someone told me the 60s or 70s. So
I believe that's true.
Ouch.
yeah.
They probably just had the chip seal done since then, but that's just a top coat.
Yeah.
Right.
But 60s, 70s. Some of us weren't born.
Many of us, many.
Depending on when. Okay. Yes, I agree though. The roads, they need some love. Facilities and services.
We had tonight's legislation, and also we will be holding a meeting sometime next week to make some changes and amendments to our temporary displays in public parks legislation before it comes to council. So once that date gets posted, I'll make sure it goes out to everyone in council. If you guys want to, tune in, I think we will still be on Zoom. Okay.
I'd like to ask a question of facilities and services. I want to know what the reason for the executive session was, because it wasn't stated according to the Ohio Revised Code correctly in the motion. And I think that we kind of do have a duty to kind of follow the Ohio Revised Code when it comes to executive sessions. So can we clarify what the exact reason was?
It was to get legal counsel from the law director.
Yeah, but it would have to be, according to the Ohio Revised Code, it would have to be a public attorney concerning pending or imminent court action would be the only reason for legal advice from the law director.
I'm sorry, Rocky, I don't understand. What are you saying?
So in their motion, they never clearly stated, and it does say in the Ohio Revised Code that the motion must specify the purpose of an executive session, right? And it gives you 6 very distinct categories, right?
That's my recollection.
Right, appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, compensation, public employee or official, right? To consider the purpose of the purchase of property, to confer with a public body's attorney considering pending or imminent court actions, to prepare for a conduct or review of collective bargaining strategies, matters required to keep confidential by federal rule, so those are kind of the reasons. And so I'm just wondering, I think we need to address that motion because we could potentially, there could be some fallout for not following this. So I'm just concerned.
I believe also, did you say I was following as best I could, but you were going a little fast. Also, the solicitation of legal advice is included in that.
It doesn't anywhere say solicitation of legal advice. It would have to be concerning pending or imminent court action.
I think Dale's on the meeting.
He is.
Yeah, I'm on the meeting. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can.
Okay. So I didn't get all of the gist of what you were saying, but the Ohio courts have held that an attorney can meet with his client at any time, anywhere, any place, including coming from a public meeting to go into executive session to speak with the law director. So that is always allowed. And Rocky is correct. It's not in the statute. It's based on the court's decisions. And our 8th appellate district in Cuyahoga County has held that way as well. So in Cuyahoga County, it is permitted. The other aspect of that is that when you're meeting with a council committee under the statute, you can't let other members in who are not members of that committee when you're giving the legal advice to that specific committee. So, but I'm not sure if that's the question that was raised as well.
No, my question was just that I think the motion violated the Ohio Revised Code. And so I just have that concern about it because whatever comes up out of facilities and services, I think could be questioned in court because the Ohio Revised Code doesn't, or the motion doesn't match what was, stated, what's stated in the Ohio Revised Code. So I just want to make sure that whatever comes up can't be questioned and that we're going to be, potentially in legal trouble, or any future ordinances that came out of facilities and services can't be questioned because of that executive session.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. We don't do it that often, but we have on some occasions in the last few years met in executive session to discuss a matter that didn't fit within the statute because you're seeking my legal advice. And that's what the courts have held, which is that you can always go into executive session with your law director. You could come to my office and do it just as easily as you can do it from the middle of a council meeting, as long as you're seeking legal advice. And that's what we limited that discussion to when we went in the other day. And that's, the motion was specifically to seek legal advice.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're all squared away because there's a lot of big stuff that comes out of facilities and services, and I'd hate to see it challenged later on because of a mistake and emotion. So, okay, thank you.
Right. My pleasure. Yeah.
Anything else, Angie, for facilities and services?
Nope.
Okay. Finance committee, my hope is to try and meet next week or so. I'll touch base with Darren and Jim to get some things set up and on the calendar. Parks Commission.
Parks Commission. Parks Commission reviewed an application from Soul Shine Yoga. They want to do yoga in Riverside, River Run Park. We asked them to take a look at other dates and places. So because they were conflicting with the use of the baseball diamond.
Okay.
There's that. Where's my application? The Historical Society and Safe Routes applied for 4th of July use of the Triangle Park for the bike parade and bike race and other festivities, speeches and so forth on the 4th of July. the old car show. So the Parks Commission unanimously approved that request, and so I would ask council to also please approve that request on behalf of those groups.
And but the road part is going through Amber for permission to close the road.
We
We don't actually have that power. That's Amber's power, or the chief's power.
Right. Well, and we didn't say anything about closing the road. We told them that they needed to go to the police
I just
chief.
wanted to clarify.
It's just the general festivities that are going on at that time. Assuming that the police department does close the road, it does kind of overflow to be using the park a bit.
Perfect.
For those activities. So,
okay.
And then the afternoon is the studio, Chagrin Valley Little Theater and Studio Orchestra, the concert in the park. And that was approved, I think last month or the month before at 2:00 in the afternoon. So it'll be a fun day. And fireworks, I think in Bainbridge, is that right, Angie, that they have?
Fireworks at Kenston at 6.
Kenston.
So you can start here at 8 a.m. and did 4th of July all the way to 4 p.m. Then you get a brief break, drive to Kenston, get your fireworks. That's
Love it.
Okay.
So I would motion to approve the Historic Society and Safe Routes application for 4th of July.
Second.
Roll call, please. Oh, motion by group, second by roll call. Roll call, please. Sorry. They like that for the minutes.
DiBernardo,
Abstain.
Evans,
Aye.
Grube,
Aye.
Rocky,
I think I need to abstain for this because I was crossing guard, so that makes me part of Safe Routes.
No, you don't have fiduciary
Okay,
responsibility.
then aye.
Rogoff,
Aye.
and Weigel.
Hi.
Ooh, that was a nail biter.
I
Okay.
mean, yeah, we don't approve the 4th. That would make a wonderful headline.
I mean, it'd keep Barbara Christian's life interesting.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Nancy, for parks?
No.
Okay, cool. Planning and Zoning Commission. Back to Nancy.
Planning and Zoning has a scheduled meeting for Monday next
June 21st.
June 21st. I don't know that we have any agenda items, so that meeting may be canceled.
Okay. And Safety Committee.
No report at this time.
Shade Tree Commission.
No report.
Streets and Sidewalks.
No report.
And I'm going to say that Mr. Newell has no report for utilities. Look at us. We're moving on. Report of the Chief Administrative Officer.
I have no report tonight, Madam President.
Report of the engineer, Mr. Lannon.
Not much of a report. Things are much quieter than they have been. Working hard on the West Summit Street sidewalk, kind of a mini study, basically making an exhibit for an upcoming public meeting. And with that, that's all I have. Open for questions.
East Washington is beautiful. Good job.
Nice.
And
That's
Lydia is amazing. Tell her thank you.
will do. Thank you very much.
Okay. A report of the police chief.
Just 2 quick personnel updates. We just promoted a sergeant, Jonathan Thompson. He was sworn in kind of a little private ceremony with the mayor. And then we just hired a new part-time guy. Chad Goldberg is his name. He'll be starting within the next couple of weeks here.
Fantastic.
All I got.
Tell them congratulations. And then Fire Chief Zugan is over with the fire department having their banquet after their promotional swearing in this evening. Any members of the public to speak to any matter. You can use your raise your hand function in Zoom, and then we can bring you into the council meeting to address council. We do have a 5-minute per person limit. And I'm not seeing any hands. Going once, going twice. Okay, miscellaneous, my friends. Anything else?
I have one question for Shade Tree, or this might be a better question for Rob. What is the best way for residents to submit concerns about their shade tree?
They can contact John Brockway in the street department, shoot him an email or a phone call. And he'll take a look at it. If it's something like a hanging limb or something of an urgent nature, that'll be addressed right away. If it's something about a tree health issue, he'll likely call in our Shade Tree Commission members to inspect the tree and see what its prognosis is.
Okay.
I would like to thank Lisa and Christy for all the work that they have been doing on the records disposal here at Village Hall. You'll notice I have a different background today because this is what council chambers looks like.
Oh my.
So we will be shredding all of these, old documents, including paperwork from 1987, 86.
Yep.
If you're curious about who had adjustments to their water bill that month, I could tell you that information sitting next to me. So I think they should be congratulated for all the hard work, and then obviously the service department for their wonderful employees who schlepped it all down from our very
Basement.
ceiling limited third floor.
Oh.
And
I would also say, Aaron, that they worked up there in that heat we had the other week in the attic to get all of those down, the amount of stuff stored. And you have to wonder, I mean, what in the world we were thinking when we kept this, like the receipt book from 1987.
Yes. So I would just like to say on behalf of Village Council, thank you for emptying out the attic and the basement, and good job.
Good job.
We appreciate it. Okay, anyone else have any miscellaneous items? Seeing none, we are adjourned at 8:26, and that was fantastic. Great discussion, and we kept moving.
Yay, thank you.
Good
Good
night.
night.
See everybody.